I'm here with my friend Chad from Profasee, and Chad has created a pretty cool tool around something that all of us struggle with, and that is setting our prices. I have sellers come to me all the time, and not only other sellers, but myself as a seller. You wonder, like, how do I set my price? When should I change my price? What's the best price in my market? How do I even keep an eye on it if like a competitor drops their price? Like, what should I do? So Chad's developed a pretty cool tool around this, and we're going to dig in today and learn all about it. So welcome, Chad, and please tell everybody a little bit about you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Rubin. Been in the e-commerce space for the past over 10 years. E-commerce business, D2C, private label, co-founded the Prosper Show, started a software company called Skubana for multi-channel brands and merchants, sold that last year, sold Prosper, I believe, in 2018, and started Profasee after staring at a tree and trying to fix my e-com company in just this past December. So in December 21. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share with everyone how essentially I'm all about like solving my own problems first. And so Skubana, I needed a software to scale, to go multi-channel, built that. Prosper Show, there was no community, and now there's lots of communities. Built that as well with the team, and now building something where it's very close to my heart. It's a beautiful and it's a challenging problem to solve.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know you were one of the co-founders of the OG Prosper. Prosper's changed a lot over the years, and I really enjoy Prosper. So that's so cool. And, I've also heard of Skubana and some of the other tools that you mentioned, projects that you mentioned. And so, I mean, how great to be able to interview you about this new project. Obviously, pricing is still a thing. It's still something that people struggle with. And I'm interested to learn more about like how and why we automated that. So everyone, as you're listening, please say hi to us in the chat. We want to hear from you. If you have questions for Chad as we're moving through this, absolutely put them in the chat, and we will take your questions as we go along. So I guess, Chad, my first question for you around pricing is a really general one. Like, what factors should people consider when setting their price?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think there's so many factors on Amazon, right? So there you have your own product listing, you have your own price that you've set. Are you FBA or are you not FBA? Are you Amazon choice? Do you have a bestseller badge? Then you have your competitors, the same thing. What's their BSR? How many reviews do they have? The quantity and the recency of the reviews. And so there's all these factors that need to be processed, along with, by the way, your own individual conversion rate and your session rate. It's overload. It's like over-analysis paralysis. And I was doing it manually, and I was going crazy doing it. And then I was like, okay, there has to be a better way. How do I do this at scale? And how do I build a system that identifies patterns in the data to actually monetize pricing? And most brands, by the way, are under monetizing their price. So it's all about meeting the most optimal decision with your price at a given time. And so that's really what we're doing. And we're moving away from a static price where you kind of set and forget your price. Most sellers, by the way, never change their price, or if anything, they change it maybe once a month. But that's what we're seeing in the data, to actually dynamically and automatically changing price to maximize profit without sacrificing BSR.
Wow. So, you mentioned a few different business models like resellers, wholesale, as far as, whether or not you own the buy box or whether you're sharing it with someone else. And obviously, traditionally, resellers have had to be the most concerned about repricing because, they really have to, it's a big factor in winning the buy box is having the lowest price. And changing your price to be lower than the last buy box price in order to compete and to be cycled through the buy box. But I guess I should ask, what business model is most suited to price changing? Are you also talking about private label sellers who own the buy box? Should they consider changing their price?
So we don't actually touch anything. We are strictly working with private label sellers, those that live and die by the SERP, by the search engine ranking page on Amazon, page one. That's where we spend most of our time. We don't actually work with any resellers or trying to win the buy box or game the buy box. So I think that's a pretty big differentiator between us and like every other repricer out there, is that we exclusively work with private label brands who are trying to optimally make more money at different times of the day without sacrificing BSR. And we're seeing actually a tremendous lift in the cohort of clients that we have on board the system today. We're seeing on average a 10 to 12% lift in profit.
Wow, 10 to 12% lift in profit by changing their price and staying on top of their price. So I guess I had no idea that you guys were totally suited. This is the first time I've ever seen a pricing tool specifically for private label sellers. So this is a whole new world that you're educating us about. And there must be, a method behind the madness. We're gonna get into like why you created Profasee and like what was the data that you found. But in general, how often should private label sellers be changing their price, and why should they change it?
So I guess if we just zoom out for a second, every major technology company is using algorithms and data science, true AI, to optimize every penny of profit. So if you think about Uber surge pricing, if you think about Airbnb smart pricing, even Amazon, by the way, Amazon is changing price 2.5 million times a day. So everybody is actually changing price dynamically. The question is, well, why aren't brands, and there's a lot of them, there's 2.5 million Amazon sellers in the US marketplace, why don't they have access to these tools? And that's really where I began my premise, like, and questioning, well, why are people not changing their price? Why does pricing have to be static? What if we actually made pricing dynamic, especially on Amazon, which is a marketplace? And if you've ever checked out on Amazon your cart, you left something in your cart for a day, there's a price change and Amazon notifies you and you probably still buy it anyway. Amazon is driven on commodities and it's very acceptable to change pricing on Amazon.com. And so that's really where we started focusing our time on Amazon. So there is no like how often, it's actually what is the optimal price that's going to maximize your profit without sacrificing BSR. And by the way, it's not always increasing your price. It could actually be decreasing your price. That actually is going to be the most optimal price point because essentially you're going to generate absolute profit dollars from making, you're going to essentially sell more velocity, which is going to offset the lowered price that you've made.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have played around with the pricing on some of my own products, and I've seen many clients do the same. And it's really interesting because sometimes increasing your price, people just assume that decreasing is the best, like you just decrease your price and you're going to make more sales. And we've all seen it where, you're going to run out of stock and you increase your price and you get more sales and you're like, whoa, what happened? So talk to us a little bit about why changing your price causes an increase in sales, and and what that's all about. Does it have anything to do with the Amazon algorithm? Like, why does changing your price work?
Well, I mean, it's the easiest lever you can pull that can have the largest impact. And so the challenge is that everybody is scared to change their price, and I'm not saying that you should be shamed or guilted, but like a lot of people do this, right? They just either copy their competitor or they just guess what the price should be and they leave it there and then they forget about it and they don't change it and then they don't actually analyze the data. So it's like literally it's your revenue, right? Your revenue is what drives your bottom line profits. And if you don't actually ever change your revenue profile, you're not going to actually maximize the bottom line. So most sellers right now, in my opinion, are actually like batting their head against the wall, being like, hey, how do I optimize my PPC? How do I adjust my bids so that my ACoS is at 10%? But if you think about it, the other side of the ACoS equation is, like, let's say you're 10% ACoS, you're spending $1 to make 10. Well, imagine if you were spending $1 to make 12. So now your ACoS goes from 10% to 8.3%. Mm-hmm. And that's amazing. That means that your return on ad spend goes from 10x to 12x.
Got it. Well, that's so interesting. I mean, and so you've discovered these things. I guess, my next question for you is, you developed a tool to, I guess, tell us about this tool, because it's more than just changing your price. It's about knowing what the optimal price is, and then also knowing when to change it and how much to change it by. So talk to us about this tool and what it does and why.
Yeah, so we built AI, and I use the word AI. A lot of people say it's artificial intelligence. I like to call it authentic intelligence, right? Where we actually have a data science team on staff that are building the algorithms behind the scenes. So if you think about it, you look at Instagram, every time that you like something, every time you dwell time on a video, Instagram knows that, and they know that that hits a dopamine response and that you're going to do more of it, and they're going to serve you more of that, which increases your time on the platform. So the same way that we're doing that for pricing. So we take all the cookie crumbs that customers leave and we analyze them behind the scenes to generate the optimal price. And we do that in two ways. The first thing is we optimize for demand, so price elasticity, which is the sensitivity of price changes. And then we optimize for the perfect price after doing that. And we're pulling in a lot of factors, and I can share some of those factors on my screen here.
Yeah,
Here's like an example of all the things that we're pulling into the platform, right? So macro factors like seasonality or holidays. We take in your 18 months historic information, and it's analyzing and chopping it up into the actual algorithm itself. We have your sessions, your conversion rate, the number of competitors. We do a reverse ASIN lookup based on keywords of your competitors. So all of this is flowing into our model.
wow. So you're really kind of looking at the big picture using AI, using big data to crunch the numbers for us so that we don't have to manually pull up every page. We don't have to manually pull up every page of our product, every page one keyword to see like, oh, what are the prices on this page, and what are our competitors doing, and how you've actually developed a method to get that out there and get it done, which is really, really cool.
So keep it easy. It's like day parting for pricing. So different times of the day, you could have you can have a lot of people that are coming that are window shopping, and maybe by lowering the price, you'll get higher conversion. Conversely, you might have people with high intent coming to your pages, and they want to convert at certain times of the day, and maybe you're leaving room on the table, money on the table during that time frame.
Wow. So I guess, you've brought up all of these really great points about, about why to use an automated method versus like manually changing your price. But how does it work? So can you talk to us a little bit about, let's say I'm using this tool and I'm logging in and I'm figuring this out, like, does it make recommendations? Does it automatically change your pricing? Do you set thresholds?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about the functionality of the tool.
Yeah, so the first thing is they request access on our site, right? So we're still early stage in this, and we're onboarding people slowly to make sure the experience is perfect. So they put in their information. Again, we're looking for Amazon US brands that are in the marketplace on 3P, Seller Central, that have consistent stock, that are FBA, that are higher velocity. So we don't work with typically anyone who's like sub $500,000 in revenue. That's not who we're working with currently today. So they put this information in, we reach back out, we accept them, we lift the velvet rope, we let them into our platform. So there's really three things that have to happen. They have to connect their Amazon advertising API through our platform. They connect Seller Central in our platform. And they also have to fill out an input sheet that has their cost and their floor and their max price, their ceiling price.
Yeah.
They put this all in our system. And before we reprice or do anything, we will ingest and train our models around your data and give you an analysis of the money that we expect that you're leaving on the table. So right away, we're just analyzing, ingesting the data, and you're getting a recommendation from us as how much money are you leaving on the table today, and what can we get you by using Profasee. once you agree on the subset of SKUs that you want to give us, right, we essentially break down your SKUs into a cohort. And the cohort is, we have our experimentation SKUs and we have our control SKUs. So they're broken apart so we can actually measure performance and measure success. And we work in quarterly periods. So we'll have a quarter where we are giving you monthly business reviews, and giving you results. We have a shared Slack channel giving you results and showing you how the experiment is running, and showing you with real data what you would have not achieved had you not used Profasee. So I'm really, really excited about what we built. I think it's pretty amazing. And we're helping other Amazon brands flourish, which is probably the most exciting part of my job and what we're building.
Wow, that's really, really cool. I think I'm most excited about what you said about, like, the minute you onboard them, you show them how much money they're leaving on the table. And I think that's a really aha moment. So my next question for you is, I think I get it. You get the floor and ceiling prices, you understand, like, all of that. So once all of that is set up, then it sounds like Profasee automatically changes those prices for you. Does it like send you a record of what was changed that day, or?
Yeah. So we have an audit trail on the platform that shows you what's changed. But remember, you're giving us the boundaries. You're delineating what your floor and your ceiling price is. So you're letting us, now we conservatively go up and we aggressively go down. But we do it within the bounds that you've given us, so that we're not operating out of school or something that's not expected for a brand.
Got it. And then I guess the most important question is, what are the benefits of using this over just another pricing tool, or Amazon has their own pricing tool? What's the benefits of doing this?
Well, I think if you're just like, there's too much data for a human brain to process all these data inputs. So if you're doing it manually, the best you can do is create like a very simple rudimentary logic. Like, if your competitor goes up 5%, then I want to drop my price by 5%. It's not cranking out and finding patterns in the data, which is really the whole profession around data science. That's like saying, like, hey, Instagram, we want you to manually select customers and figure out what we should show them next. And so if Instagram did that to you, they would never scale, and you probably would not use Instagram any longer, because you probably wouldn't get really what motivates you, what's hitting your dopamine in your brain to hit the next video like button or to continue watching a reel. So in that same vein, right, I think where we nail it is we consume all this data. You don't have to worry about it. And we're making the decisions to maximize profit. And we're showing sellers that they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And the algorithm actually gets better the longer you use it. So it gets smarter over time. There's very few other technologies out there that actually get smarter and build recognition of patterns over time to actually improve ROI. And to me, that is incredible. So let's just say we're delivering you 10% today, and we start learning by these small levers of price changes that we made throughout the day. In 6 months, we could be earning you 18% profit dollars on a monthly basis.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I totally get it. And especially, you mentioned you're still in beta, you're working with those brands that are, you said, doing $500,000 or more in revenue, right?
Yeah, and by the way, it's not just brands. We work with aggregators, we work with agencies. So we're working with pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
And there's only a few aggregators that we're not working with because they're trying to just build this in-house, which I still don't get right now of why that's even a thing. But we're essentially giving brands their own outsourced data science team that an aggregator would have. And I think that is the future, the next stage, I think, of Amazon selling. It's went through this evolution, right? You went from resellers to private label organically ranking to becoming advertisers. And now I think the next stage in the evolution of the process is going from advertisers and sellers to the rise of what I call the algorithmic brand. So brands are going to be using data to make decisions for them that are far more efficient and optimal than if they were just using like human logic and spreadsheets.
Exactly. And I think that's where we have to go, because the marketplace is getting, as a whole, the marketplace is getting so much more reliant on data and so much smarter. I mean, even if we look at our Amazon auto campaigns back in the day, people would always say, no, manual campaigns are the way to go. And now we're seeing the algorithm has gotten so good that auto campaigns are outperforming a lot of our manual campaigns. And people are missing the boat on that, all because like data is changing so fast. So I think it's really smart, and it isn't always the right answer to try to build your own tool. If somebody else already has the experience, and is going, it's like the key is outsourcing, right? So I love that. Well, I guess
So, wait, to give you just like, I would say like one line of the benefit outside of having to manually do it, the true benefit, right, is to unlock hidden profit that you weren't aware that existed in your business. And I think every seller right now is struggling with profit, right? They're struggling with PPC. They're hitting a wall, not even manually doing, but just bidding in general. They're cutting costs. We have inflation that's here and has staying power. And so one small lever of price can go a really long way. And that's unlocking profit for our merchants and brands.
Yeah, that's huge. I loved your analogy of Instagram. And, same thing with any of the social media platforms, like keeping your attention is that's how they make money, right? They keep you on the platform. The longer on the platform, the more that they learn about you, the more that they can put ads that are right. And this is the same model where, the more that somebody is in Profasee tool, and you can look at the buying behaviors and all of that. It's like just more and more data. And before you know it, you've just got it so streamlined that you're unlocking additional profits for people that.
And if you look at my screen, this is a webinar that I did, and you'll see here that I'm talking about this rise of the algorithm. I don't know if can you see my screen right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And right now, this is like sort of the last hope for aggregators, where they need to turn data into decisions for their business. And so they can meet their EBITDA forecast. They can start forecasting better for demand planning. And you look at what's happening. This is just one job page of an aggregator right now, and you can see it's all data science and it's all AI.
Yeah.
So in order to effectively compete, it comes down to actually using technology in a way that enables you to compete with these large players that have unlimited pockets in the space, and being smarter about it, right?
For sure. For sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, I think all of our brands are realizing that they cannot just sleep on this stuff, right? It's, everything is changing so quickly. If we just even look at the last year, on Amazon alone, it is really, I mean, and then we think about Walmart and some of the other marketplaces, how fast they're growing and developing and changing, and we can't sleep on it. So it's wonderful.
Cool.
Amazing. All right. Well, I mean, I guess the last question that we have here is how do people get in contact with you? I mean, obviously you have certain brands that certain thresholds that you're working with right now. But how should people follow your story and reach out?
Well, you can check out Profasee.com. They can reach out on LinkedIn. My personal email, chad@profasee.com, is always available. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, really like any which way you want to connect with me. I'm available. I'm around. I eat, breathe, and sleep this stuff. So excited to share it with the world. And if you have questions, reach out.
Amazing. Okay, wait, I have one more question.
Yeah.
For those people that are not qualified to work with you yet, new brands, people that are just growing their business, what should they consider when manually setting or changing their price?
So I would create a spreadsheet, and you can actually go to Profasee.com. At the bottom, there's like this little stroller of what I was doing relative to the platform. I can actually share my screen real quick. And down below here, there's this. And so I was tracking, I mean, this is like a rough idea of what I was building manually, but I was tracking on a daily basis, right? BSR, units sold, price, revenue, costs, my profit. And I started adding other elements, conversion rate, your session data, competitors' price, competitors' BSR. So if you don't have a lot of SKUs, I would recommend just letting the data drive your decision-making process and
Got it.
making small increments, right? I'm not saying for you to go from a $10 garlic press to a $100 garlic press, right? I'm saying like small levers swing big doors. So you can adjust your price 2%, 1.5%, 2%, 3%. Find the threshold and find where the sweet spot is that is optimal in your price that doesn't actually sacrifice your competitive positioning on Amazon.
I love it. I think that's what most of us are doing now. But it's good to see that you have that spreadsheet there of the things that you were tracking and how we can kind of apply some of the same concepts to be awesome on our brands. All right, I think we've pretty much covered it, and I'm so excited to get this information out to the world. I think people should know about what people like Chad Rubin are doing in the space. Because it is really important, and we got to stay ahead of the competition, and yeah, take all this stuff into consideration. And I think the biggest eye-opening moment for me today has been that that something like this even exists, and that it's really making a difference. Because I think a lot of times when we think of private label, we don't think about price changing. So this has been very eye-opening today, and you've definitely given me some stuff to work on, Chad. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on. This has been awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.